Also, recognizing that what you said, right? Business is hard no matter what you do,
Yeah.
right? Because people might look and say, well, Cody, you're partnered with now Pace and Matt Baird, these two amazing individuals. Business is so easy for you now, right? Like everything is perfect, every deal just works out perfectly, and there are no more issues, right? Is what do you say to people like that when they're just convinced that you have a cheat code to life now because you just have the right people on your team?
I mean, I would say, going back to network marketing real quick, when I was 21 and, I was making over 100 grand a year from like 17 to 21. And I bought all the stupid stuff. I have so much designer crap at my house, but like no one ever sees me wear it because like I don't want to sell it because I bought all of it, but I don't wear it. But this is like, that was the stuff I invested in my brand when I was like, 18, 19. So basically squandered all my money on cars and nice clothes and designer stuff. And basically, when I was 21, that business fell apart and I lost everything. And I had to go from living, a very great lifestyle as a 21-year-old, doing whatever I wanted pretty much, to I ended up having to sell my cars. I had a brand new Beamer and a brand new Jeep, and I had to sell my cars, sell everything basically. I had a nice Breitling watch that I used to have, had to sell everything and move back home to my parents and back to my old room that I had in high school. And talk about ego death, just thinking you're on top of the world, so then everything crumbling down. And then people kicking me while I was down, of the people that told me that wasn't going to work. They were quiet until, everything came crashing down. And they started coming out of the woodworks again, letting me know that I was a failure and I was lucky. It's interesting because obviously that's hard. It's a challenge to go through. And then picked back up in real estate within a couple of years. As an agent, I was making six figures again within a year pretty much. So it's like right back to doing well, but didn't like being an agent. It just wasn't fun. It's not my thing. I didn't like working with clients, and got more focused on the real estate investing. And that's where eventually met Pace and started working together. And long story short, now here we are. But we have multiple businesses doing seven figures a year, a couple of them doing multi seven figures a year. But it's like we constantly still have challenges. Like I'm still like, I have calls with, and you've heard it, like I have calls with our construction team. Certain projects are behind. There's a problem on a project. There's issues that are happening in the wholesale business. You have to fire people, hire somebody new. It's like the challenges are always there. They just start to change. And it does, yes, get easier when you have a good amount of money coming in every month to you. It's like, that's great, but there's still challenging. There's still problems that you have to deal with. You just have to learn to get better with dealing with those problems and challenges. And so with great partners, yes, it gets easier because you have great partners to lean on and support and kind of vent stuff to when challenges are coming up. But the challenges don't go away. They're always there. You just get better at dealing with them.
Right. I remember that's what you said. You're like, listen, like your job as an entrepreneur is go keep putting out fires, right? You
Yep.
are a fireman that's putting out
Yep.
fires and the fires never stop. And I
Yep.
was just like, I love
100%.
that. And what's funny is you just answered a question that I was going to ask you, essentially, diving into what was one of the biggest challenges you went through, right? Having it all and then experiencing a place where it all disappeared, right? And
Yeah.
seeing that everyone comes out and that's when they want to say, like, see, I told you so.
Yep. Oh
And
yeah.
having to create,
Everyone.
right. And you had to essentially cultivate and create an extremely resilient mindset because I think that's even more difficult, right? The first level of difficulty is convincing yourself you can do it. Then the
Hmm.
second level of difficulty is after it gets pulled away, convincing
Can I do
yourself
it
that
again?
you can do it again and that, yeah, like this may happen. Like, hey, I may lose it all again. Am I willing to go through it? So you're someone that I feel like has a very strong mindset. You work on it. How important is cultivating I would say, I don't want to say indestructible, but like a bulletproof mindset? How important is that to you?
It's super important. I mean, you still have hard days and bad days. Literally, still, like, there's certain days of the week where it's just like so many things go sideways. Like, people, there's problems, problem property. Like, there's a big issue, there's big issues that come up. And like, where there's days where I get to the end of the day and I'm just like, Oh my gosh, like this is what a day. But I just start telling myself different mental tricks, which they're kind of cheesy. Like, in my head, I'm like, wow, today was a character building day. So I'm like, I'm not like today was a crappy day. I'm like, today was a character building day. So, that so I just kind of talk to myself in my head over it, and kind of just try to gain perspective around like bad things that happen, just try to think of it in the best light that I can, with things that come up. Like you walked the house that I bought and I'm gonna be remodeling and moving into, and there's a big foundation issue there. So that's going to be expensive. And I was like, for like a day, I was just like in the back of my head, I was kind of annoyed and upset about it. And then after another day went by, I'm kind of like, it's kind of inconvenient, but I could probably make a YouTube video around it, which would be cool. Like, how does this get resolved? What do you do? And, then make like a before and after of everything. And so I'm like, I could make a couple of cool YouTube videos around it. Yes, it sucks because it's going to blow up my budget to more than I wanted to spend. But I'm grateful to be in a financial position where it's like that financially isn't going to destroy me. It's just kind of more inconvenience on timeline and, extra money spent. So it's like just changing the language that you have with yourself, I think is really, really important. And again, it's like, what are you putting into your head every day? If you're putting in the good, the positive, the supportive, the uplifting into your head every day, or are you putting in the crap? Peeing on your brain is watching like CNN news and just reading the newspaper and following people on Instagram that are complaining about their lives. Your inner world creates your outer world. So, if people are taking too much time focusing on the externals, then what's going on in between your ears starts to get messed up, and it starts to dictate the decisions that you're making. So I just do my best to protect myself from anything. Like, I don't really know what's going on in the news most of the time. I don't consume any of it. If it's going to affect me, I will get alerted somehow, but I don't care. I literally don't care. And I won't consume any of the negative information. And I think that helps keep my mind right, because I just consume the good, the positive, the uplifting. And that's what operates in my brain, while other people are living in fear and watching and consuming negative information, which is a big part of it. Just making that one change is a big difference maker.
You're absolutely right. And it's funny because I had people, when I started cutting off the news, I had a lot of people tell me, well, how are you going to be informed? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And I had to ask them a very serious question. Well, how is what you watched today going to help me with what I'm trying to do? Right? Like, can you solve this problem that I've been dealing with all day? No, but you've been watching the news all day. You're informed. Why can't you solve my problem for me? Or when I would ask them, hey, what did you learn? And they're like, I'm not really sure. But they're freaking out a little bit. They're getting panic attacks. They're getting this, they're getting that. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it was just like, guys, like, it's not helping. So it's cool to hear you say that you are able to cut that off, and essentially you begin to curate what starts to come in. You filter what's allowed to come in so that you can continue the momentum. You continue to grow, which
Oh yeah.
is, yeah, it's vastly important. And I found, even just like watching the people that you associate with while you're out here, everyone, although they're different, they're of similar thought process when it comes to that. When it comes to, hey, we've got to be very critical about who we allow into this. Like Pace uses the word oasis,
Oasis. Yeah.
right? And it makes a lot of sense.